Hello, this is Sandy with Sandy's Crafty Creations. Welcome to my tutorial for the Graphic 45 Safari Adventure travel case. I designed this out of chipboard and I used cardstock for the base of the pockets, and I used the 12 by 12 papers from the Safari Adventure collection to create this travel case. This is really a simple design on how to put one of these together, so I'm going to show you the basic way of putting it together. And later on in the year I will have an updated version in different papers, but for now I'm going to show you how I created this case. So let's get started. You will first need 2 or 3 of the papers from the collection for the outside of your case. This is also used to assemble the case with the chipboard. I was able to cut 2 pieces to work for my case. So you will first cut a piece that is 11.5 inches tall by 12 inches wide. This will be for uh, the bottom of the case. And then you will cut one that is 9 3/4 inches tall by 11 3/4 inches wide for the top of the base. And then you will cut another piece that is 11.5 inches tall by 1 1/2 inches wide, which will be also for the bottom piece. So I was able to get that out of 2 pieces of 12 by 12 paper. And again, make sure your paper that you choose is a small pattern, non-directional. It will look better on the outside of your case. You will now take the 12-inch wide piece and the narrow 1 1/2 inch wide piece, and you will turn them over so that you're looking at the back side, and you will piece them together with some tape. You can either use Scotch tape or score tape to seam the two together to make one larger piece. This is for the base or the bottom of the case. And next you will take your chipboard pieces. For the bottom of the case, you should have one 8-inch by 6-inch piece, 2 8-inch by 2 inches, and 2 6-inch by 2 inches to form the bottom of the case. You want to make sure that you allow enough room around all 4 edges of this to wrap the top edge. So I position these how they need to lay on the paper. And so you see that I'm making sure that I have enough on each outer edge for wrapping the top edges. And you want to have the width of the chipboard between each piece. You don't want them butted up together. You need to allow a space in there. So first I'm going to glue down the main piece, the 8 by 6-inch piece. And put it down as straight as you can. And then I'm going to take a ruler and line it up to make sure that it is straight. So by using glue, you do have a few minutes to move it around just a little bit before it's stuck down good. And then I'm going to apply glue to one of the long sides. And I use one of the pieces of the chipboard as a spacer or a shim to get the spacing correct between the main piece and the side piece, and line them up and do the other side the same way. Now you can create a shim out of some scrap chipboard. You want to use the same thickness of chipboard, and so you just label a scrap one as a shim and keep that with your tools. Continue with the end pieces. Line them up the same way. Make sure they're lined up and put down straight, and use a chipboard spacer or shim to leave the proper amount of space between the chipboard pieces. And here for the final side, I am using a piece of chipboard that I labeled as a shim. And I'm just lining this up. And then I'm going to burnish it with my hands and turn it over and burnish it on the other side to make sure there's not any ridges or bubbles from the glue. Now we're ready to cut the paper to get it ready to assemble the base of the case. So take your scissors and along each end of the shortest chipboard sides, cut from the outer edge all the way to the corner meeting points. And so you do this on each end of the short chipboard pieces. You want to cut just right up against the chipboard end, all the way to where the intersection is. So that will give you 4 flaps. And now turn it and cut about 3/4 of an inch on the paper from the ends of the longest sides. So you'll cut all the way to the piece that your line you've already cut, but you're going to leave about 3/4 of an inch for a flap on each end of the long sides. Next, we're going to take score tape. I'm using the 3/8 inch, and I am attaching it to the ends, to each long side, to the edge of the paper along all 4 sides. And I'm burnishing the tape backing to make sure it sticks down good, and it makes it easier to peel the backing off. Now I'm lifting this up, and I'm just folding the edge of the chipboard onto the paper to train the paper to fold over. And I'm going to go ahead and peel the tape backing off one side at a time, and I'm going to fold this side down. And you need to take a bone folder and just run it along the edge of the chipboard to kind of help the paper to fold, and then burnish it down. And on the ends where the paper is sticking over off of the chipboard, you'll want to burnish down to make it lay flat up against the chipboard. And you can see it right here. It's like an indentation, so that you just run your bone folder on that to make it lay down flat. And go ahead and do the other long side the same way. And burnish it real well to make sure it sticks down. And this will give you a nice finished edge on your the bottom and the base of your travel case. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the short sides, do it in the same way. There is no extension of paper on these, so you just simply fold them over and burnish them down good. Next, I'm just folding up these sides to gently get the paper used to folding that way. And now I'm going to take score tape and apply score tape to each flap, to all 4 flaps. Burnish the tape backing to make sure that they stick down good. And then go ahead and peel the backing off. And I go ahead and peel it off of all 4 corners so it's easier to work with. You'll notice that I used 2 pieces of score tape because I wanted a good solid coverage there on the flap. If you want, you could use score tape on the outer edge and then glue along the chipboard edge onto the paper. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this tape backing, getting it off, but finally managed to get it off. And now I'm going to take the white glue and I'm going to put some down into the seams of the chipboard. Got a little bit too much there, so I just wipe some of it off. It is going to be covered up with paper, but I didn't want a thick glob there, so I just wiped some of it off. So apply the glue into each of 4 seams of the base. And this is a real easy, simple way to make boxes. So I'm just wiping off some of the excess glue real quick. Now pull up one short inside and one long side and make sure you line them up on the top edge there and then press the flap down over onto the short piece. And so I completely attach one long side first and then I do the other side. And it is that easy to create a base for a travel case. The lid will be assembled the exact same way. I will probably show that in a speeded up version. I will give you the correct measurements for the chipboard because it is a little shorter. And now I'm just burnishing, make sure everything is attached down good, especially on the corners and all the edges of the flap. Okay, so there's our base of our suitcase. And now we're going to add in some chipboard supports. I decided to use black. You will notice on the black chipboard that I have measurements written down. The height is incorrect. I did trim those up, so instead of 2 inches tall, they are 1 7/8 inches tall. I will add that in a memo here on the video. So you do need 2 pieces that are 7 7/8 inches by 1 7/8, and 2 that are 5 7/8 by 1 7/8. So after you have those chipboard pieces cut, then you apply score tape to the back of each piece. You'll have 4 pieces. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this part up so that it doesn't take so long on the tape. After you burnish the tape backing down, then go ahead and peel the backing off. And I'm starting with a short side, and I just fit that in. Make sure you put it all the way down to the base of the box, so that you have just 1/8 of an inch down from the top edge. And so yes, I'm doing the short pieces first, and then I will insert the long pieces. This gives it extra support. And the last side. This gives your case real strong sides. And then you will pattern the inside with the papers that you choose from the collection. And it may be a really tight fit, but just go ahead and work it in and press it down really good and make sure they're all attached good with the score tape. And there's the finished inside. All you need to do is add your printed papers to the base, the bottom of the base, and to the sides. And if you just want, you can ink the edges of the top edges of your box. Next, you will assemble the lid for your travel case. So you take the remaining piece of paper that you pre-cut, which is 9 3/4 inches tall by 11 3/4 inches wide. And you will take a piece of chipboard that is also 8 inches by 6 inches for the center. And you will attach these with glue the same as you did for the base of the case. And remember that you want to allow about 3/4 of an inch around all edges for wrapping. And the chipboard pieces that you need for the sides, you need 2 that are 8 inches by 1 1/2 inches, and 2 that are 6 inches by 1 1/2 inches. So I'm going to speed up the next part of this video. Remember, this is all assembled the same way as the base, and also you will cut your paper the same way, fold the top, and then assemble it together with the flaps the same as you did for the base. So now the lid is assembled, and I'm just lining them up to make sure that they match fairly closely. And now we'll be ready to ink the edges. I just like to distress it a little bit and kind of ink the edges to make it have a little worn look. And so I'm just going to take the time with some of the black soot ink to rub the different corners and edges. And I'm doing all this before getting it ready to add the hardware. So what I'm going to be adding is metal corners to the top and the bottom. Then I will add the hinges on the back and then a latch on the front.